What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. Hopefully, y'all had a great night last night. It's looking like we have not too much going on in the markets. The SPY is sitting pretty stagnant from where it was. But we do have some interesting stuff to talk about today. We have to talk about minimum wages that are potentially rising next year. A lot of states are considering it. And we have to talk about some household debt that got took on over the holidays. So there's a bunch of interesting stuff going on, as well as crypto, which is actually potentially crashing right now. It's all down again, and it's getting pretty close to some of the lows that we were seeing during the last downturn. So it's getting into a kind of scary place. But overall, we'll see what happens with it. But good morning, Sub-Zero. It looks like you're the only one early enough to the chat. Good morning, man. Good to see you. We've got a lot of and Greg Taylor, you're here too. Nice. I saw your comment yesterday. So welcome everybody. It looks like we're finally getting some people in here. We got about 10 people right now. So we won't talk about anything too important that we won't mention later, but the first thing that I did want to talk about was just this article right here. More than half of U.S. states will raise their minimum wage in 2022, probably to keep up with inflation, because we have seen inflation going through the roof lately, and I expect that will probably continue in 2022. But employers, the important part about this article is that employers are hiking their pay faster than the minimum wage is rising. So all in all, workers have been pushing for $15 an hour. We've all heard this on the news for a very long time. And good morning, Silver. Good morning, Rocky Mountain Gobblers. Good morning, Manny C. Good morning, Maddox. But all in all, workers have been pushing for $15 an hour for a long time, and it's yet to happen. If you look at a state-by-state map of minimum wage, you can see that there aren't actually all that many states that are paying much more than the minimum wage, right? The states that are blue right here are paying higher than minimum wage, basically, higher than the federal minimum wage. They have a statewide mandate saying that the minimum wage has to be, whatever it is when you highlight the state. So $10 in Minnesota, $9.45 in South Dakota. Now, I already looked at this map a little bit, and what's interesting is that the highest minimum wage state there is actually Washington State. Up here in the top left of the map, $13.69 an hour. That just barely beats out the second highest. I think it's Massachusetts at $13.50. $13.50 an hour for Massachusetts, $13.69 in Washington State. So that's interesting. And Travis Brusso, good morning. Kurz, good morning also. But you know what I found? One funny thing was Georgia has a minimum wage of $5.15. So lower than the minimum wage. It looks like they just haven't updated it in a long time. So the federal rate applies in Georgia. So I think it's $7.25. Even though the state minimum wage is $5.15 in Georgia, you still have to pay the $7.25 if you have employees because of the federal law about minimum wage. So that is interesting, though. That's just so out of date in Georgia. It's $5.15 an hour according to their state law. And a lot of states do just have the same as the federal, right? A lot of states just charge $7.25 an hour for workers. They have the same minimum wage as the federal. But it is interesting to see that according to at least this CNBC article, more than half of U.S. states will raise their minimum wage in 2022. So we'll see what that happens with. We'll see what happens with that. And Saucy Fredo says, "Wow, you've been getting more people over the last month or so." Oh yeah, we've been growing slowly but surely, and that's good because at 10,000 subscribers, we're going to open up a Discord. I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'm going to put in the effort to do that. And we'll open up the Discord at 10,000 subscribers. So I feel like that would be enough people so that enough might actually log into it. It wouldn't just be a ghost town in the Discord. But the second thing that we wanted to talk about was how more Americans took on holiday debt this season, owing an average of $1,250. So apparently, 1 in 3 consumers said they spent more than they could afford, and now people are in a ton of debt. And one of the interesting things about this is that it's not necessarily the most traditional debt that people are taking on. Most of these people, or at least a lot of them, are using buy now, pay later services, which I've heard of. I've seen those. I've always had the option to buy stuff with a buy now, pay later scheme. And basically the way that works is when you buy something, you can just make little payments, or you could potentially put off your payments for a year or something like that using stuff like Afterpay. And there are a bunch of companies that do this kind of stuff, and they could potentially be doing very well in 2022. It looks like a lot of people are now using that kind of a system for taking on debt because they know credit cards are a scam, right? People know that credit cards are going to rip them off. They're charging with 18% interest a year, so crazy stuff like that. So nobody wants to take out credit card debt anymore. But these buy now, pay later things, although I think they end up charging quite a bit of interest in the end if you don't pay them off early or whatever, it does end up making more sense than a credit card just because you're not paying month to month, just a super high interest rate. So overall, I think that stuff like Afterpay could be doing pretty good. And in fact, let me find the ticker symbol for Afterpay, just because I have heard some other YouTubers like Meet Kevin talking about it. Let's see what the Afterpay ticker symbol is. Interesting. So Afterpay.com, all right. APT.AX. Okay, so it's an Australian stock. Let's see if we can't. No. APT. No, that's Alpha Pro. Interesting. So I guess we can't find Afterpay. Buy now, pay later. Let's see if we can find a buy now, pay later stock. Because Meet Kevin has definitely been talking about those. And good morning, Rich M. What's up, man? So Affirm. Okay, Affirm is one. AFRM. So Affirm could potentially be doing decently in 2022. It looks like a lot of people have been using this kind of service more than recently, more than, the past couple of years at least. So, all right, it's a recent IPO, it looks like, around $90, and now it's trading close to that level again. It's around 100, and it was at 176. It's recently been falling quite a bit. This one could come back. I don't know. I haven't looked too deeply into Affirm, but I definitely have heard Meet Kevin talking about it from time to time. Good morning, Shadow333. Welcome. But Affirm is one that I might be looking at more closely because we have actually been stagnating around the $100 level. It looks like we might be using it as support. Maybe we'll be coming back in 2022. I might want to look at that, potentially add it to a more long-term portfolio because that does seem like it has some potential promise. Yeah, that could be good. That could be good. And, oh, shoot, you know what? I realize I did not switch the cam to the stock cam. So you guys have been missing all the articles that I had pulled up. Interesting. Oh, well. Typically, people warn me about it, but a lot of people might be just listening at this point. So, and Rocky Mountain Gobbler says, I hope you're not in the tornado warning area today. I've heard nothing about a tornado, and I see clear skies out the window, so I'm not too worried about a tornado. I don't think so. Probably not. But I will pull up some of those articles again, just so you guys can see them for yourselves. In case you guys were just staring at my face. So let's see. Here's the article about half of U.S. states raising their minimum wage in 2022. That just seems crazy. I mean, it really seems like a lot of states are starting to come to terms with the fact that there probably is going to be pretty big inflation, and they might need to do something a little bit proactive to protect people from that. Now, we'll see what raising the minimum wage actually does, right? Raising the minimum wage might actually hasten some inflation because then you're charging more for whatever products those people are creating, whatever services those people are providing, and that's going to result in probably businesses having to raise some costs, right? So it might increase the inflation that we end up seeing, but it might help the workers who are actually getting paid more. So who knows what's going to go on with this if a bunch of the states actually do it. But it looks like employers are ahead of the curve. They're already hiking their pay faster than the states are raising inflation. And that makes sense, right? Businesses are always going to be able to react more quickly than the government. So it makes sense that businesses are the ones taking the lead on that. But I will pull back up this map right here of the state minimum wage laws just so you guys can see it. And once again, I'll hover over Washington. They're getting the highest minimum wage, $13.69 right there in Washington State every hour. And the lowest state that I could find was Georgia at $5.15 an hour for their minimum wage. So it's interesting. Okay, so we've got a couple of comments. So Greg Taylor, how low is NAKD going to go? Whew. I mean, it's tough to say how low something can go. I think that a lot of people, at least based off the comments that I've been getting on my videos, it seems like a ton of people are really confused about NAKD. Pretty much, it seems like almost nobody knew that this merger was going to happen. I guess it was somewhat obscure, right? It wasn't the best publicized news And if you were someone who just bought into NAKD a year or two ago and was holding this stock as a penny stock, maybe during the meme stock rally when it went up to around $3, before the reverse split, it was around $3 at its peaks, and you were just holding since then, you might not have been paying too much attention to NAKD, and when it ended up going through with this merger, the reverse split, you just noticed that you had far fewer shares, the price was a lot higher, you might have been pretty confused, and a lot of people seem to be very confused in the comments section of the video that I made covering NAKD stock and the merger. So a lot of people are probably selling off their shares day to day. You know, they're noticing that this stock just keeps dropping. Maybe they were going to give it a chance at first. Maybe they looked into it a very little bit and ended up seeing that it dropped, and now they're getting fearful and selling a little bit. So I think that we're probably getting a little bit oversold. I mean, they did value Centro Automotive at a certain amount for a reason, right? They had a financial analyst come in and look at what the company was worth and decide, when you're doing a merger, you'd have your team come in probably from NAKD. Maybe Centro had their own guy auditing it, who knows? But I would assume they did a pretty fair job of evaluating what Centro Automotive was worth when they ended up doing the buyout. Now, I think there may have actually been a lawsuit. Let me look that up. That was actually probably, I think that might have been Rumble stock, actually, that had a lawsuit going on. Let's see. No, it doesn't look like there's a lawsuit about it. So I think it's a pretty fair valuation that they gave Centro at the time of IPO. However, or not at the time of IPO, but at the time of the merger, but it has fallen a little bit. So how low could it go? I mean, maybe 5 will hold. Maybe it'll move down into the 4s. I don't think it'll crash. I don't think it'll become a penny stock again. It's definitely a much better company, right? An EV company is probably going to be doing a lot better in 2022 than a swimwear company, especially with the new variant going around. People will probably want more EVs as opposed to swimsuits where they might be going out in public, but we'll see what happens with it. I mean, it's tough to say exactly what the floor will be. I'm not too worried about it. If it does get a little bit lower, if it gets deeper into the 4s, then I might consider buying up some more, just because I think it's more of a long-term play, right? I'm not too worried about the short-term fluctuation on NAKD. I think that what we're going to wait for in terms of when it starts moving up is probably when we start to see some of their earnings calls coming out and we can actually see some numbers regarding their revenue growth, potential vehicle deliveries, because I think that's what's going to impress shareholders. So especially, if they ended up changing their ticker symbol, that would really make a lot of investors happy. I think that the NAKD ticker symbol made sense for Naked Brand Group, but it does not make sense for Centro Automotive. So if they could change their ticker symbol, I think they could get a little bit more support. It might make a lot more sense to people investing in the stock, but we'll see what happens with it. So, and Saucy Fredo says, I think NAKD will come out and try to bring Catalyst or conference calls because they have to stay over 4. Yeah, I think that the earnings calls will probably be pretty good for them. And let's see. Silver says, Rob, did you check out the team up of Joe Brown from Heresy Financial and the Economic Ninja on YouTube? I did not see that. And I still need to check out the Elon Musk Babylon Bee interview. That's what I needed to do. I'll add that to my list of things to do today because that sounded interesting. And I'll take a peek at that potentially also. There we go. So now it's on my to-do list, and hopefully I won't forget to do it. So let's see. Greg Taylor's thinking about buying it again once it goes below 5. All right. Yeah, I'm thinking below 5 could be good. Maybe in the 480s, 460s, 70s maybe. We'll see. We'll see how low it goes. I'm looking potentially to buy up a decent amount of AMC if we do continue this downward move that we've been on over the past day. Looks like AMC is taking a little bit of a tumble. If we continued moving below 25, that would be an ideal buying point for AMC, I think. If we move below 25, I'd love to see it. I would love to scoop up some AMC shares. Obviously, we're not that low yet, but we are in a little bit of a downtrend in this pre-market. So we'll see if we can maintain that. It looks like we're actually starting to come back a little bit, but if we could get a move lower on AMC, I would be happy to buy up some more shares. I'll be buying up 10, of course, as the market opens, but I would like to see it a little bit cheaper than that. So we'll see if we can get it. So let's see. Elizabeth Rodriguez, yes, food is going high, so no buy, no frills, and seasoned it good. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, everything's getting more expensive now. That's probably why. If you guys were just joining now, that's probably why more than half of U.S. states will be raising their minimum wage in 2022. So I definitely expect, everything's probably going to get more expensive. And, you can tell that everything got more expensive because Americans took out a ton of holiday debt this season, actually, owing on average $1,249. And a lot of that was in buy now, pay later stuff. So it's interesting to see that Americans are turning to a different form of debt. I think, nearly 40% of Americans used used buy now, pay later financing to spread out their expenses. So it's scary stuff when people start using this kind of debt, because not only do they have access to credit cards, now they have access to buy now, pay later, which I don't know if that stuff shows up on a credit report or if it's just some kind of liability on the company's balance sheet and it doesn't show up on the consumer's credit report, because, people could be taking out quite a bit of debt and we might not actually know about it if it just shows up as a little bill for them every month and not some form of a loan like a credit card does. Then it could be a kind of tricky situation where they're taking out a bunch of credit card debt, they're taking out a bunch of buy now, pay later debt, and they just get into a hole or some pit that they can't get out of. Because typically, credit card companies, if you open up a bunch of different credit cards, they'll stop giving you new credit cards, right? Your credit score actually takes a little bit of a hit every time you open up a new credit card, just temporarily, so that you can't open up a bunch of them all at once and start taking out a ton more debt. But with this buy now, pay later stuff, it seems like there's no real limit to it. It seems like you could just continuously keep on taking out more buy now, pay later debt and get deeper and deeper into monthly debt. Every month you'd owe some payments on whatever you've bought in the past, and it could get to a certain point where you just have so much of a monthly bill every month to pay off the stuff you've bought in the past that you can't afford anything in the future. And typically, I'm not a big fan of debt. I do not like taking out debt. Sometimes it makes sense if it's margin on an investment. Sometimes it makes sense, but typically I try to stay away from it. I'm really not a big fan of it. If it's interest-free debt, then it can make some sense, because then it's basically just free money. And if you just have to pay it back later and you have some sort of income, then it makes a lot of sense. But typically, this buy now, pay later stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of. Let's look up what the interest on buy now, pay later debt is. So let's see. This is NerdWallet, so maybe NerdWallet will have a good example for us. What is buy now, pay later? So basically, I already know what that is, but I'll explain it to you guys. Basically, if you wanted to buy a chair for $500 or something, and you didn't have the $500 with you at the time, you could use buy now, pay later. It would break up the payment into like a couple different payments that you'd have to make over a period of months, and then you just slowly pay it off. But you do pay interest and late fees. So let's see how much the interest is. Okay, and this has an example. So, for example, if your total purchase is $300, you will pay $75 at checkout and then have 3 recurring payments of $75 each due 2 weeks apart. As long as you make all the payments on time, you'll have paid off the purchase in 6 weeks. While Pay in 4 doesn't usually charge interest, other buy now, pay later plans charge an annual percentage rate of up to 30%. And late fees range from $7 to $8 and are usually capped at 25% of the order value. So, wow. So if you do it in 4 weeks, then there's no reason not to do it. Kind of like a credit card, right? With a credit card, you can take out whatever debt you want on the card, and as long as you pay it in full every month, there's no interest. But I guess they're banking on people not paying it off in time. So that is interesting. So it's almost a more complex, maybe a less complex version of a credit card, because you don't have to calculate what's the minimum payment due on anything. It just tells you at the time you owe $75 at checkout and $75 every 2 weeks. So that is potentially a little bit of a simplification for people, but it still seems like the kind of thing that people would use to get into some trouble. So, and Silver says, I'm going to pull some retirement funds to knock out debts, then get aggressive on paying down principal on mortgage. Yep, that makes sense. And Elizabeth Rodriguez says, buy bonds and ETF and real estate because something strange is coming. A crash. I'm securing my assets. Yeah, we could see. I mean, it's definitely possible. We could see some sort of crash in the markets in 2022. It's not impossible. I mean, we've over the past about year and a half, or basically 9/10 of the past 2 years, we've just been moving up in a straight line. So we are overdue, I think, for some sort of correction. It's been a very long time, and we've just been moving up and up and up with the S&P. We made all-time highs yesterday in the SPY, and we could potentially do it again today. We're not that far off. We'd only need to go up about $1.50 to make all-time highs in the SPY. So we could definitely see some sort of crash, and I think that people have gotten very unused to feeling any sort of market pain, because during these most recent downturns, people were talking about their portfolios getting crushed, and the SPY was only down, about 5%, maybe even less. Let's take a look at the exact number it was down. I think from the highs to the lows, it was down 5.07%. And, that shouldn't crush portfolios, but I think people are just leveraged up to the max and have no tolerance for a big downturn. Obviously, not everyone's just invested in an index fund, right? A lot of people are invested in potentially riskier, smaller market cap stocks, which did get hurt, I will say, a decent amount more. Smaller market cap stocks have been getting hurt quite a bit. How much did the Russells get hurt during this most recent dip from its high to its low? It was down about 15%, so 14.6% on the Russells. So, to be fair, a lot of the smaller market cap stocks were getting hurt quite a bit more, and the Russells has been relatively stagnant this entire year. It's just been bouncing around, unable to break out of this zone around 210 to 240. It's just been unable to get out of that for any period of time, any significant period of time at least. So the SPY has definitely, the larger market caps have definitely been outperforming the smaller market caps. I think that it's mostly being held up and propped up by companies like Google and Microsoft and Apple and that kind of stuff, which have just been skyrocketing. Although, I will say, a lot of the tech stocks have taken a hit lately. So maybe not the ones like Microsoft and Apple, but some of the potentially smaller tech stocks like Twitter, TWTR. That Twitter has actually, I think it's red on the year. That's kind of crazy to see. Twitter is red on the year. It's down not too much, I don't think, percentage-wise, but it's notably down. Oh wow, 20% actually. So it did actually fall quite a bit from around 55 to 43. So yeah, Twitter's down quite a bit. And Twitter is one of those businesses that, for whatever reason, never really took off. It never made all that much sense to me how Twitter made too much money, because you don't see too many ads on Twitter. It's not the kind of platform that really grabs your attention if you do see an ad. If you see a boring tweet, you just look right over it. You don't even pay much attention to it. It's not even like Instagram, where there could potentially be catchy pictures or videos. It's a lot of text on Twitter, and you don't have to read the ads if you don't want to. I just don't see how they make all that much money. And granted, I don't use Twitter too frequently. If you want, though, you can go in the description of the stream and follow me on Twitter. I tweet every now and then, but very rarely. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, feel free. But overall, Twitter seems like the kind of business model that they really need to start making money in some other way. Now, I know they opened up a subscription service, Twitter Blue, and I think they charge maybe it's $2 or $3 per month for Twitter Blue. And I think what it does is get rid of ads and potentially give you some time after a tweet goes through to edit your tweet or delete your tweet before it posts or something like that. It doesn't seem too useful to me, but overall, I think they need to do something else with their business model. I don't know exactly how they could monetize it in the right way. They need to start offering something else. I think that at one point they had Vine, which was basically like TikTok. If you guys ever watched Vines in the past, I didn't watch too many, but they closed it down for some reason. It never made sense why they closed down Vine. But I think they owned Vine. So let me look that up. Why Vine died. Why Vine died by The Verge. Let's see. The thing about Vine becoming the internet's premier tool for making short-form videos is that it happened almost completely by accidents. Okay. So yeah, it was part of their pitch to Twitter, which bought the company for a reported $30 million. So really great value that they got buying Vine. But I see. Okay, so interesting. So Vine had a 6-second constraint. So that's not quite as much as TikTok. Honestly, if they just upped the time to 60 seconds on Vine, I think Vine would have been incredibly popular. I know it was hugely popular when it was operating. I know a ton of people used it, and I can't imagine why they ended. I mean, maybe this article will open my eyes to why they would have closed down Vine. But I don't know if you guys remember Vine, but it was definitely really popular. Vine didn't move fast enough to differentiate. Snapchat allowed users to send each other 10-second video clips. Okay. And at the management level, Vine was rarely stable for long. Sure, but it was still a really cool platform that people were using a lot. Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I didn't read this article too thoroughly, but it just seems... I always thought that they ended Vine way too soon, that they definitely could have just improved the platform, and that it probably would have done as well as TikTok, because it was way ahead of TikTok. I mean, TikTok basically just copied Vine and had a longer video post time that you could use on their platform. So, I don't know. I think they really messed up with Vine. Twitter could have been the next TikTok, right? They could have been the TikTok. TikTok never would have existed if Twitter kept on going on with Vine and developing it further. I think that was a huge mistake on their part. I mean, it was so popular. I think they just didn't have anyone who was in, middle school or high school at the time. I think I was in middle school and Vines were really popular. They just didn't have anyone in that age group who was telling them, hey, this is hugely popular with people our age. If you keep it going, you'll make a ton of money. But, you live and you learn. I guess they probably realized that after the fact. After TikTok really took off, they realized we kind of had the exact same thing. And we just deleted it. So I know a lot of people were very disappointed when they got rid of Vines. Those were fun. So let me pull up Sundial right here just so we can get a peek at it. Looks like Sundial it's stagnated relatively well. It looks like we aren't in too much of a downtrend, although we are a little bit, ever so slightly. We've been moving down in the after hours and pre-market, but we might come back. We might bounce off of 60 cents. That's the hope. I wouldn't like to see us get down below 60 cents. It's a distinct possibility, but it would not be what I'd like. So DWAC also stagnating. What else is new, right? DWAC likes to sit until there's a catalyst, and then it shoots in one direction or the other. So we've got some comments coming in. So Maddox asks, hey, Rob, is it possible to look at the Ortex data on RELI? Sure thing, we can do that. We'll pull up Ortex real quick, and we'll take a peek at RELI. I'm not sure what that stock is. We'll also pull it up here just to see. Reliance Global Group. Okay. Let's see. Reliance Global Group on Ortex. Let's see what the short interest is on that. It's... wow. This is... that's crazy. Crazy short data on it. So the short interest is increased by 3.3%, but apparently the short interest is 809% of the free float, 4.03 million shares, according to Ortex. So that's interesting to see. I haven't heard of this stock, RELI. According to Ortex, the short interest is 809% of the free float, though. So that is interesting. Let me pull up Yahoo Finance and see what the market cap and the float is on RELI. It might just be an incredibly low float. Reliance Global, here we go. Let's see. So it's a $65 million market cap company, and that's probably after... Did they just pump up recently? They did. So they just about doubled from where they were 30 days ago. And they're around 585. Maybe they've closer to tripled, actually. So what the heck happened with RELI? What's the news on RELI? Oh, okay. So when did they pump? On the 21st. So... Okay, so they're moving up on higher trading volume, and the stock is being circulated as a short squeeze candidate. Interesting. Well, I mean, with that short interest on Ortex, it definitely could potentially be a short squeeze. I mean, that's a large percentage of the free float. Where is that? Where are the statistics on it? Let's see what the float is. So the float is about 500,000 shares. So that's why more shares are short. I didn't know. Wow. That's interesting to see, though, that the short interest is more than 100%, 800% of the free float. That's crazy stuff. So it's definitely a potential candidate. Although, I will point out, the typical volume that you see with RELI, I'll pull it up right here. So the typical volume that you see each day, let's look at 1 year, 1 day. So lately we've been getting, like, say this day when it pumped up big, we had 75 million shares trading that day. That's what the volume was that day. And granted, it was a very high volume day. We also had 46 million shares trading on it yesterday, it looks like. So, if you actually look at how many shares are short, 4 million, that could, I mean, shorts could cover their positions almost entirely in one of those days, and it wouldn't shoot the stock up all that much. I mean, it would shoot it up a bit, and it has shot up a bit. You've seen that both of those days the stock moved up massively from where it was the day before. But all in all, the days to cover, if you look at the days to cover on Ortex, days to cover right here, 0.57 days. So on average, it would take 0.57 days if you have a typical amount of volume for RELI, at least with this big influx that we've seen lately. It seems like they trade a lot of shares for whatever reason. I don't know why it says the float is so low. It might be an inaccurate reading of the float. I don't know why that is, but we've got the SPY moving up. We'll leave RELI alone for a second and go back to Sundial. Pull Sundial back up. So it looks like pretty much everything we're watching is seeing some green today. DWAC, AMC, Sundial, and SPY. And it's time to buy up about 10 shares of AMC, as we always do at the beginning of the stream. So here we go. Or at least at the beginning of market open. We'll buy up 10 shares of AMC. We're up to 50 shares right now, so there we go. And we're just trying to average our position cost down a little bit. So we're trying to get up to 100 shares. And then if we got below $25, we could be doing some bigger buying if it gets to be a bit of a better deal. It looks like we have gotten some decent deals lately. We're getting a pretty good deal today, under 28 bucks. But here we go. So I'll review the order right there. But we've got 10 shares of AMC that we're about to buy right now. There we go. So once that goes through, we got 10 shares of AMC. Nice. There we go. 10 more. So now we're up to 60. Nice, nice, nice. All right. And Elizabeth says that AMC could be going down to 25 or lower. Set your alerts. Well, I'm hoping it does. I mean, hopefully we can get AMC down below 25 bucks. That would be a great buying opportunity, I think, although it is shooting up right now. It's actually doing pretty good. Over these past couple of bars, it's up decently. So who knows if we'll get the opportunity to buy into it today, or if we're going to have to wait a little bit. My hope is that it doesn't take off without me. I'd really rather see AMC moving down in the short term just a little bit, so I could grab a couple more shares. And now that we have Ortex pulled up, we may as well pull up the AMC short interest. It looks like it's been going down lately, so maybe some shorts are realizing we might have a good year for AMC in 2022. Now that we're not too close to the lows, some AMC bears might be a little scared of it. They might be worried that we aren't actually going to continue this downtrend. It was a pretty big downtrend that we were on, taking us down all the way to $20. It was pretty low for AMC to go. I mean, they dropped pretty darn quickly from 33 to 20, so a lot of shorts, a decent amount at least, ended up covering. We had about 107 million shares short at the peaks and 87 million shares short currently. So what is that? 20 million shorts have covered their positions on AMC. So there we go. We've got a lot of shorts potentially getting a little bit worried about what AMC could do in 2022. Maybe they want to get out while they can. It looks like that was a good decision because AMC is seeing a lot of green today. So we're actually up on the buy that we just did. What else is new? That's typically how it goes. So AMC, I've noticed, has been doing decently right after the opening bell. It's been doing all right, pretty good, at least for at least an hour or so. It does decently, it looks like. Over the past while, we've seen some good stuff from the market opens, especially that day when we bounced from 23 to 30 bucks. That was a great day. I remember we were watching that live. At least for some of it, we were watching it. Now, let's see what we've got. Sundial's just bouncing around. Potentially, it's going to get down to 60 cents. We're really close to it. We're not that far. We're a fraction of a cent away from 60 cents. So maybe Sundial will be hitting 60 cents. We'll potentially be bouncing up off of that. That's my hope, at least, right? Sundial, I mean, it's so oversold even at 60 cents. I think it doesn't even make sense with all the catalysts that we've got coming for it, the Alcana acquisition, potential legalization. I think that Sundial and the share buyback. I mean, we have the share buyback. I mean, they're starting and probably good earnings calls in the future, especially now that they're getting Alcana. So I don't know. Sundial just seems very oversold. I think that especially if we get some apes coming into Sundial, potentially some people from AMC or GameStop, might choose to take up Sundial once again, as they did in the past when they pumped it to 420, then I could definitely see Sundial going pretty darn high. If you look in the past, we got it even higher than 420. It got to $4.87 at its peak when it was being touted as a meme stock. So I could see that happening again, definitely, especially if legalization becomes a more distinct possibility. Right now, it's kind of just whispers in Congress. People are introducing bills and whatnot, but we really don't have too much actual momentum on it yet. I mean, we have a lot of states going and potentially legalizing it, but we still don't have Biden's say so. We don't have Biden saying, let's do it. He's still against it. So there's still a lot of doubt, I feel. And for whatever reason, the news about legalization really hasn't been talked about all that much. Potentially, a lot of these stocks have become unpopular over the past maybe 8 months or so, ever since they peaked, when a lot of people were buying them, expecting great gains in the future. And a lot of people have lost money. They've kind of developed a stigma against these stocks, and understandably so, right? If you lose money, especially if you lose a lot of money on a company, you might hold a little bit of a grudge. So it is understandable, but I think that people will probably forget about that grudge once they see Sundial moving back up in 2022. Hopefully some people will pick it back up in time, right? Because there's definitely, almost certainly, there's going to be a similar situation to what we saw last time. We're probably going to see some kind of peak in Sundial's price when we're at peak hype, when we're maybe it's even before legalization happens. It's tough to say where we'll actually peak on Sundial, but definitely with these kinds of stocks, you see these peaks, and someone is going to get hurt with Sundial. Maybe it'll be bigger players, but maybe it'll be some retail. It'll probably be retail too. It'll probably be a mixture of the two. A lot of people are probably going to be buying at whatever peak we end up seeing on Sundial, but people buying in the pit now, the pit that we're in below $1, I think will be probably pretty greatly rewarded depending on how much they get. Obviously not financial advice. I'm not recommending that anyone buy or sell any stocks, but that's just what I think about it. So, and Vivi makes a good point. Vivi makes a really good point. He says, "Hi friends, could everyone like the video?" And that would make a lot of sense because we're at 91 viewers, 31 likes. We could definitely we could probably get up to 60 likes if even just if 2/3 of the people in the video liked it, then we could get there, I think. So that would be much appreciated. It definitely helps get the stream out to some more people. I would greatly appreciate it, but we will pull up cryptos real quick, because cryptos, as I said at the very beginning of the stream, cryptos are not doing all that good. They're actually moving down. It looks like we might be seeing a continuation of the crypto downturn, the crypto crash, as some people are calling it. It's really not much of a crash, but I will point out that over the past 24 hours, Bitcoin is down 3.5%. Ethereum's down 3.5%. Binance Coin down 4%. Solana down almost 8%. Cardano down almost 10%. Ripple down 6%. Terra Luna down 8%. And if you look at the Bitcoin chart, we're getting into some pretty dangerous territory. We're getting closer to the lows that we saw in the past just a couple of weeks ago of around $45,500 per Bitcoin. If we get down to those levels, then we are officially continuing the downtrend that we've been in. So we only need to get down $2,500 on Bitcoin to 45.5 thousand. And then we're continuing that downtrend, and some more people might start selling a little bit more heavily, right? As of now, people think there's still some hope that Bitcoin will rebound, and it might do that. I'm still holding my Bitcoin. I hold through the ups and the downs. I'm not too worried about it, but a lot of people are probably trading these cryptos instead of holding them over the long term. I've found that you can trade them, but then you're looking at similar gains to what you might see trading stocks. And over the long term, these cryptos have done incredibly well. And I found it to be much more profitable to just hold the cryptos long term. Although, there will probably be some type of peak in them, maybe, especially for ones like Bitcoin that don't have as much utility as something like Ethereum. That's just my opinion on it. But I think that Ethereum is probably more of a long-term crypto that we could rely on to continually produce gains, as long as the Ethereum network and whatever blockchain it's operating on continues to be very useful for NFTs and all of that. If people use Ethereum for all kinds of transactions, I could definitely see it getting more and more valuable. It already sits at $500 billion of market cap, so it's already pretty significant. It's the second biggest crypto, and it dwarfs all the others pretty much. I mean, the one right below it is Binance Coin. It's not even 100 billion. So Ethereum is like 5x the next biggest crypto, and Bitcoin is only about double Ethereum. So I could see Ethereum overtaking Bitcoin just because it seems to have a lot more utility than Bitcoin. I could definitely see that happening. But, we'll see. Bitcoin obviously was the first. It's the most popular. The most people know about Bitcoin. Ethereum sounds a little bit more modern. It's not as catchy of a name potentially as Bitcoin. It might sound more sleek, but people might be a little bit more wary of it. People who've never invested in crypto before, they hear Bitcoin and they at least know what it is, and they might say, all right, throw some money into Bitcoin. I know it's done really well. They've been hearing about it for years. Ethereum, people may be hearing about if they're into crypto, but other than that, I don't know if people are really hearing about Ethereum unless you're into the investing community. If you're into cryptocurrencies, then you've heard of it, but most people have heard of Bitcoin because that gets talked about a lot on CNBC and other news networks. But Bitcoin but Ethereum, not so much. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Ethereum. I think that there's a lot more utility, and if it became the biggest one, if it ended up overtaking Bitcoin, I think it would do that in a big way, right? If it ended up being touted as something that was potentially the next big crypto, then I think we could see some good stuff coming from Ethereum in the future. So we'll have to wait on that. I have some money in both Ethereum and Bitcoin just in case. You never know which one is going to be the winner, right? But I think that Ethereum probably has a better chance over the long term. And Symmetrical says ETH is pretty popular even with people not knowing about crypto. I mean, yeah, some people definitely do, but I think older people, probably not. And, maybe that won't be that big of an issue if we're talking about far off in the future. The older people will be displaced by the younger people who have heard of Ethereum. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know that, if I told my mom, per se, about Ethereum, she wouldn't know what I was talking about, but she would know Bitcoin. Pretty much everyone knows Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens with them in the future. And Max Pierce says, is today the day that NAKD goes to the moon? I don't know if it'll be going to the moon sometime soon, right? I think that we'll have to wait for the earnings calls and for real fundamental growth in the company to really see this price appreciate. It could definitely bounce back in a pretty significant way. I think that it's been a little oversold. Just since this merger, I think a lot of people were pretty darn fearful of this merger because they didn't understand it. At least that's what I've gleaned from the comment section of the videos I've made explaining NAKD and the merger with Centro. So I think that we'll probably see a rebound of some sort. And we're already seeing a little bit. It's up 3.77% on the day. So, I mean, hopefully it bounces back big. But I don't know if we'll be going to the moon per se until, we get some long-term fundamental news coming out, probably around an earnings call or something like that. So I think NAKD is probably more of a long-term stock, right? Maybe we'll see a little bounce on it, but I wouldn't be counting on a big upshoot or skyrocketing in price all of a sudden. I would expect more long-term growth, just basically kind of staggering up ever so slightly, but somewhat more constantly, right? Just basically like a Microsoft, basically. Not necessarily in the same way as Microsoft, but more of this type of pattern that you see with Microsoft, as opposed to just shooting up one day and mooning. It seems more like a fundamental company. Basically, the point I'm trying to get across is more similar to Microsoft than something like what we might see happening with Sundial, which we really could see, which we've seen in the past, actually, where Sundial has really bounced up big from around it started at 50 cents, got up to 487 at the peaks in just a couple of days. So I don't think we're going to see that kind of a thing with NAKD. Let's see. And Sub-Zero asks, is PROG a good buy under $2? Its potential, I mean, it has dropped quite a bit, and it's down 6% on the day. It's potentially a good buy, right? It really depends on if retail sentiment improves and people end up picking this one back up, because then, if you're getting in under 2, then you're getting in cheap if it does end up rebounding in a big way. But there's no guarantee that that's going to happen if you're buying cheap. That's the real problem with these kinds of stocks. You can buy in now and potentially get lucky, or you could wait until there's some kind of indication that this thing is moving up, a confirmation in your belief that it will be moving up, and probably that would take the form of seeing it widely discussed on forums, as well as improving a lot in price, seeing increased volume. So you'd get in a little bit late to the party, but if you got in early enough, there'd still probably be some big gains. Now, granted, you could just buy in now and hold and hope that does happen, but there's no guarantee that it will happen, right? You can only hope that it will rebound, and there's no guarantee. It has been falling quite a bit lately, and it's getting. I mean, honestly, it is getting fairly cheap, but it was down at 66 cents at one point, and there's no reason it couldn't go back. Granted, they do have some patents that have come out since. They've become a bit of a better fundamental buy. So it depends. If you want prog for the fundamentals, then maybe $2 is a good deal. But if you're hoping that it will short squeeze, the only way to know, or if you're even just hoping that there will be some retail momentum bringing it up, the only way to know is to actually see the beginnings of it and to get in a little bit early. To either do that, or you have some insider info, or you're a pumper or some big influencer who can just say the name prog and then shoot it up. As Zach Morris did with CEI stock in the past. Zach Morris definitely shot up CEI quite a bit. He started picking it up when it was already on the uptrend, but he definitely is what brought it to 485 at its peaks. He brought it quite a ways. I think he started talking about it when it was around $1.50, and got his 500K followers to buy into it too. Now, I think it could have gone higher if Carousel Capital hadn't released a short report, basically cutting the price in half. It was around $3 at the time that Carousel Capital really crushed CEI stock. So, we'll see what happens with these stocks. Like CEI and prog could come back, right? They're just going to need to see more retail attention coming in, and you don't know if that's going to happen until it does. So, and Silver says he'd like to see some more movement in the markets in the next 15 minutes. It's been pretty slow. Yeah, it sure has. I mean, the S&P is only up 0.11%. DWAC is pretty stagnant, and AMC has actually taken a little bit of a tumble. So that's actually potentially a good thing. We're potentially going to see AMC get a little bit cheaper. If it could get below 25, I think it would be a pretty good deal at that point. That's when I would like to start buying up some more shares. And Max Pierce asks, Rob, is the cannabis stock NEPT worth getting into? It's also a cheap one to get into. Let's take a peek at NEPT. Neptune Wellness Solutions. So it's only 30-something cents. And it looks like at the peak of the cannabis and meme stock hype, it was at $3.60. So that's about 10 times higher than where it is now. It looks like they've been on a pretty steady downtrend over the past couple of years, as pretty much all cannabis stocks have. Let's see what the max chart shows. So they're much cheaper than they've ever been. It looks like they might even be making all-time lows today. Or yesterday. It looks like yesterday was their all-time lows. Potentially it is. I mean, I don't know anything about Neptune Wellness, but all of the cannabis stocks, pretty much all of them, are going to do fairly well during the times that people are really hyping up cannabis legalization. Probably in 2022 is my expectation. Now, unfortunately, this one only, it looks like last time that was getting hyped up, it only about doubled from 150, 160 maybe to $3.60. So it a little bit more than doubled. So it probably wouldn't be the biggest pumper, right? We've seen bigger ones like TLRY. We saw go from 8 to 67. So it about 8x'd, almost 9x'd. Sundial, we saw it going from around 50 or 60 cents to $4. So I don't know about NEPT. It's potentially a gainer, right? You could probably make some money, but there are probably better opportunities out there, in my opinion, at least. So I probably wouldn't be getting into NEPT, but it's definitely, not financial advice. Anyone can get in there if they wish. And MTTR. We'll take a peek at Matterport. Yep, let's see. So Matterport, okay. Matterport is dipping a little bit. This is a metaverse stock, so they make those cameras that do 3D scans of buildings and rooms and whatnot. So it is an interesting one. I actually at one point considered getting a Matterport camera, but decided against it. So let's see what they've been doing over the past couple of years. It looks like they've been moving up, and then during all of the metaverse hype, they peaked at $37. So we are currently on the downtrend. Potentially during the next day, people will be tax loss harvesting. It looks like some people are selling out. Some people accrued a bit of a loss when they were buying at these peaks. And some people, it looks like maybe tax loss harvesting right at the end of the year. Potentially they'll be buying back in a month. But there's only one more day to do it, right? There's today, and then there's tomorrow. And tomorrow is the last day that we've got before the break on Friday, which is a day off from the market. There's no trading going on Friday. That's a break for New Year's, so it is a holiday, federal holiday, and the markets will be closed. So after that, it's January 1st, and no one can tax loss harvest anymore. So, I mean, Matterport, I think, will probably be doing pretty good, right? Their cameras will probably be fairly useful for this whole metaverse world that people are creating. It'll be useful to be able to do scans of rooms and whatnot. Now, the only problem with this stock that I see with their business is that they sell these cameras, and maybe they'll sell a decent number of cameras, but I don't see any recurring revenue necessarily, right? Maybe they can sell a new version of the camera every now and then, but at a certain point, the cameras will be good enough, people will buy up their cameras, and it just doesn't seem like it has the scalability or the same leverage that a software company has, where you can make this software and then you can sell it to everyone, and it doesn't cost you anything once you've made the software, pretty much, to just keep sending it out to people in exchange for cash. And then you can make a new version of the software that's even better and sell it all over again. The cameras, you can do that. You can make better cameras, but it really requires a lot of work to make the new cameras. I'm not trying to dunk on software developers and say that it's not a lot of work, but it really requires real scientific advancements to make better camera technologies, especially what Matterport is doing, where they have a 3D camera where they can scan a whole room. I think that it's probably a lot more expensive to develop that, and a lot more expensive to then continue constructing them and selling them to people. You actually have to make a new camera every time you want to sell one. So potentially it's a little bit less scalable than some of the software companies that are going to be involved in the metaverse, but it's probably going to be a good one. I think that Matterport could do well. It probably will do very well. And I'll take a peek at their market cap on Yahoo Finance because I am a fan of them. I don't think I own any stock in them at this point, but let's see. MTTR, it's a $5 billion market cap company. So all in all, not the largest. It looks like they have negative earnings at the moment, which, is understandable because they're making cameras and they're still trying to get their name out there. And it looks like, maybe $20 is fair for them, considering the fact that we'll probably be using a lot of their stuff for metaverse activities in the future. But maybe you could wait for them to get a little bit cheaper. Let me see what the options on Matterport look like, if there are any good deals on options. So it's not bad deals that I'm seeing on Matterport options. So unfortunately, the spread is kind of big. If you're looking to sell options, to sell puts on them, the spread is kind of large, but you could potentially sell a $20 put for $7, collect a $7 premium. And Ultimate Blue Eyes White Dragon, do you have a Discord? I would like to be a member. You are awesome, man. No, I did not have a Discord. Once we get to 10K subscribers, we will be doing a Discord. So that is the plan. At 10K subscribers, we'll be making a Discord. We haven't done it yet. I'll show you guys the subscriber count right here. You guys can see it. And if anyone is watching the stream and they have not yet subscribed, I'll point out that you have the option to right here. If you look, you can actually see this number, 8,854. That's how many subscribers we got. It will go up live. If someone hits the subscribe button right now, you can see this number turn into 8855. If someone hits it right now, I'll give you guys a second if you wish to do it. Potentially we'll see someone do it. We've seen it before. We've seen change live on stream before. Maybe someone can unsubscribe and they can see it go down. Don't do that. But if anyone wishes, then I guess everyone here is already a subscriber probably at this point. Typically, there we go. We did lose a subscriber. So there we go. Thank you, whoever did it. We got to see it move live. So there we go. Now we know it's a real working number, and whoever hit it knows for sure that YouTube isn't messing around. They actually are tracking us 24/7. They know what's going on by the minute. They know. So we'll be making a Discord, like I said, at some point, probably in early 2022. It's looking like we only need about 1,500 more, or 1,200 more subscribers, and then we can start working on that Discord. I'm not sure. I've never made a big Discord server before. I've made a couple of smaller ones for my friends to game on, but nothing for a lot of people. So I don't know if it would get messy or what's the deal. And the Hallminator just subscribed. I appreciate that. I got rid of the thing, so I can't see it. I can't see it anymore. I got rid of the thing. I closed out of it, but I All right, we'll pull it up later. And Charles says, "Hey Rob, morning. Have you looked into GGPI at all? The Polestar SPAC. I have seen that. I have seen that it's pumping up. Is it? I think it was an EV company. I'm pretty sure that Polestar wasn't. Yeah, it's an automotive stock. Swedish automotive brand established in 1996 by Volvo Cars partner Flash Polestar Racing and acquired in 2015 by Volvo. Okay, which was acquired by Geely from China. Okay, in 2010. Interesting. And vehicle production is taking place in China. All right, so that's cool. So yeah, I have heard of the Polestar GGPI SPAC merger. I haven't looked too deeply into it. It looks like it really peaked out around $16. So we'll see what happens with it. I'll potentially take a closer look at it later on, but I have not looked too deeply into the Polestar merger as of yet. I might look into it though. You know, EV companies are always promising. An abstract said, "Did someone seriously unsubscribe?" Oh yeah, someone unsubscribed. I mean, we'll pull up the data again. It looks like they followed the opposite of my advice. But hey, look at this. It looks like they resubscribed. And we got another subscriber coming in. So now we are at 8855. That's a very satisfying number. There we go. So it looks like whoever it was probably resubscribed. I did say they could do it and see the number change live. So there we go. And Halminator joined us. So it's Halminator subscribed. There we go. So now we saw it. We didn't see it change live, but we saw it happen. So I will point out what Silver was talking about earlier was the stagnation in the markets. You know, not much has happened. And you can see it's just barely been a green day for the markets. I mean, just barely. If you look at this market map, everything is a little bit green, but just barely. So, you know, there's one sector that's really mostly red, and it looks like it's energy. For the most part, the oil stocks aren't doing too great. Oil must be moving down. But other than that, everything is pretty darn green in the markets. And, you know, we do actually have two economic events happening today. We've got pending home sales, which is coming out in 3 minutes. And we've got crude oil inventories. And Abstract already knows how crypto looks today. Yeah, the crypto, unfortunately, moving down. We might see, we already talked about it, we might see a continuation of that downturn. If we get down another about 2K on Bitcoin, if we get down to 45,500, then we might see a continuation of the crash on Bitcoin. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think people might get a little bit fearful if Bitcoin starts making new lows on this most recent downturn, but yeah, you never know. And Some Zero says Sundial is at 59 cents. That it is down just barely below 60, 59.15. So looks like we're touching up on 59 cents. Geez, I mean, you wouldn't think it would happen like this, but it looks like we've hastened the sell-off a little bit. Over the past about 2 hours, we've just been, or 4 hours, we've just been plummeting from 62, almost 63 cents to 59. So look at that. I mean, will we get down to 53? I wouldn't expect us to. But we might. I wouldn't expect that to happen, though. Anything is possible, but that would definitely be another buying point. I mean, every time we hit up 53, I'll be buying up some more shares. We've already bounced off of it twice. So I'd be looking to buy up some more shares at 53. But we really could turn around at any point. I mean, let's see. Some shorts. Let's see what the shorts are doing in Sundial today. They were exiting big over the past couple of days, so let's see what we got on Sundial. And Big Spark has arrived, I can tell. Big Spark, welcome, man. So let's see. The shorts on Sundial. Looks like we've seen a little bit of a decrease. Small decrease. So here we go. Short interest on Sundial down to 13.64%. 279 million shares short. So down about 2 million from what we saw yesterday of 280 million. So all in all, good stuff. We've seen a small decrease in the short interest, though it has increased from the beginning of the day. So up 0.21%. So a couple more shorts squeezing in the pre-market and during the trading day, it looks like. But overall, towards the end of yesterday, some shorts were exiting. That seems to be a common pattern. They seem to get in the beginning and out during the end of the day. So let's see. Any bets on when the Fed raises rates for the first time? Silver asks. Who's to say? I mean, will they actually do it? I don't know. They like to talk about it, and if we really see inflation getting a lot worse, then maybe we'll see it. Let me put a little poll in the chat. Oh, that's just me typing in the chat. Let me put a little poll in the chat. So we're asking, when will the Fed raise rates? Let's see. We'll add all the quarters of 2022. There we go. So there we go. We don't actually have all the options I would have liked. Unfortunately, the poll limits you to only doing 4 options each poll, but so we're missing quarter 4 of 2022. But we'll see. We'll see what people think about when the Fed will raise rates. So let's see. AMC is continuing potentially that dip. If we move a little bit, just a cent or 2 lower on AMC stock, we'd actually be making new lows of the day. We might be seeing a bit of a better buying opportunity coming in soon, which I am honestly happy to see. I'm very happy to see potentially better buying opportunity. If we could move down to 25 bucks on AMC, I've been saying it for a while. I would love to see AMC below 25 to really get a larger share count on it. So we'll see what we can get. But hopefully. So it looks like a lot of people have voted in this poll already. We've already got 13 votes. And 69% of people think the Fed will raise rates in quarter 2 of 2022. 14% say never. 14% say quarter 1. So a lot of people are thinking quarter 2 of 2022. I think that might be the case also, right? I don't think they'll do it in the next couple of months. They still need to finish tapering. They still need to stop buying bonds. So looks like, okay, we are a little bit past 10, so we actually have the first economic event of the day. It should have just come out, the pending home sales month over month. And it looks like it's being hidden from us once again. Or potentially investing.com is just slow. But let me pull this up. So we're forecast to have a, 0.5% increase in home sales. So last quarter, we actually saw a 7.5% increase. So, geez, crazy stuff. A lot of homes have been getting sold throughout the past couple of years, probably because a lot of people were looking to move away from some more stringent rules and more strict regimes. But we'll see what happens. In the next couple of months. I would really like to see housing prices go much lower. I'd like to see housing prices get dirt cheap. I know that would probably hurt a lot of people who've bought houses recently. But at the end of the day, you still own the house. And if housing prices get cheaper, a little thought experiment here. I would like to see housing prices become $1 per house, and just for there to be basically unlimited supply of nice houses. And imagine that. I mean, wouldn't that be better than having a big house that's worth, hundreds of thousands? Because at the end of the day, the reason you want money is so that you can buy stuff like houses. But if the houses are all super cheap, I mean, it would be just a perfect world, because then everyone would be living in abundance, and you could all have houses. They'd cost $1, and you could just buy a ton of them. And you could have a vacation home everywhere you want. And basically, I think that's what, with the future we're looking at, will look somewhat like in two potential ways. Either the metaverse will come in, and everyone will be able to get whatever they want in the metaverse, and it'll be super cheap because all people have to do is code it in, and that requires far less work than building an actual house. Or, and maybe even further in the future, we'll see some automated workers, some robotic workers coming in, building houses for people. It'll be really cheap because they'll be charging with solar panels. All you have to do is buy a couple of robots, and then you can have them build houses wherever you want. If you can buy land, then you can afford the robots to buy houses. And Abstract says, but then I would be stuck with my mortgage. that is a real worry, right? If housing prices just get super cheap, then you owe it, then you still owe the mortgage to the bank. Well, at that point, the thing is, you could probably default on the mortgage. You could say, hey, I can't pay this anymore, and then let the bank tank the house. Because the mortgage is backed by the house. If you end up not being able to pay, you just say, bankruptcy, take the house, and then you can get a new house for $1. So you really wouldn't have to worry too much about it. Obviously, it would be annoying. You'd have to switch houses, and you'd have to, you'd lose all of whatever other assets you have. So that would be the downside. But at the same time, you could then buy up 10 houses for $10 and have a bunch of vacation homes. I still think it would probably be a better world, maybe. And let's see. Oh, Kokomo Joe says they're talking about shutting down the cruise ships again. Doesn't surprise me. We'll pull up some data. We'll pull up some data right here. We've got a case count tracker. Let's see if we can find. The case count. So here we go. This should be it. So man, it's wow. Jeez. That's way worse than I thought. Look at this. This is crazy stuff. So this is the case count tracker, and look at this most recent data point that we've got. I mean, it looks like the most cases we've ever seen in a day. If we zoom in a lot, over 400,000 cases, 400,000 new cases reported December 27th. Geez, I mean, look at that blue line right there. It just dwarfs anything that we've seen in the past. The old highest case count was, 294,000. So over 100,000 new reported cases in a day, as opposed to what we've seen in the past. Now, fortunately, I think Omicron is a bit less severe if you get it. I think it's potentially more contagious, less severe. That's what people are saying. So there might not be as much to worry about death-wise, but that's crazy. It's just blowing the old records out of the water. And you can see we are really shooting up. Average number of cases is shooting up dramatically. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them closing down some cruise lines. I mean, this is astounding. I haven't looked at it for the past, since before Christmas, so the past week or so. And look at that. I mean, it's just really shot up over the past couple of weeks. It doesn't surprise me because people are definitely taking it. People aren't as worried as they were during the first wave of the pandemic when we had lockdowns and whatnot. And now that there's a more potentially virulent strain that is spreading around and potentially I saw an article on CNBC. I'll actually pull it up if it's still there. But it was talking about, let's see if we can. Okay, yeah, here it is. It says Omicron is not the same disease, in quotes, as previous COVID variants, Oxford University scientist says. So potentially it's let's see. I haven't read this article yet. I just saw the headline, but that is interesting. You hear that Omicron is, and this is in quotes, not the same disease as previous COVID variants, which could be a good thing, right? Because COVID is what we shut down everything for the first time. I'd rather it not be the same thing. Potentially it's less severe and less serious. So all in all, this could actually be a good thing. But it looks like we are seeing a lot more cases. If you look at that case count, we've got it right here. Once again, for those of you who missed it, it is up dramatically, and crazy stuff we just saw. The highest new case counts in a single day ever, 441,000 new cases that day. And the average number of cases, the moving average, is moving up dramatically. So it looks like we're probably going to beat out the old records from back in, December or early January of 2021. It looks like this January will actually be much more serious. Maybe it is something that does better during the winter season. So that's interesting to see. I mean, potentially we've gotten a lot better at testing, right? Potentially we're just seeing a lot more cases because we're doing a lot more tests. But who knows? It's looking like we might see some more cruise ship lockdowns. And Kokomo Joe says most cities are turning down cruise ships. Yeah, I mean, when case counts are rising that much, you don't necessarily want ships coming in with a bunch of people who are potentially incubating diseases on the cruise ship. So, and that applies to all times, right? You don't necessarily want a bunch of disease from any kind of disease coming in. So, it seems like the SPY is not reacting much to this, because if you look at the SPY, though the case counts have never been higher, neither has the SPY. We just made all-time highs yesterday, the day after we got that record number of new cases. So it looks like people aren't too worried about it, all in all, in the stock market. I mean, all in all, we have seen actually, while COVID cases have been massively high in January, we've seen some of the best times for the stock market ever. So I think people might realize that overall, COVID probably isn't going to crash the market, even if it does lead to some kinds of shutdowns. It'll just lead to more potential spending if there are stimulus checks or anything like that. I mean, who would like that? Let's get rid of the poll that we've caught, and let's actually ask, who would like more stimulus checks? I'd be very curious to see what you guys will say about that. Do you want more stimulus checks? Let's add that into the poll. So, do you want another round of stimulus checks? So, we'll have yes or no. There we go. It might be, I might have had a typo in there. Who knows? We'll see when it posts. But I would be curious to see what you guys say about that, because, I mean, with this new case count, if they start doing more lockdowns or if people can't go to work or whatnot, they might need some more stimulus checks. So we've got the poll up. Everyone make sure to vote in the poll. Do you want another round of stimulus checks? Would it boost up the stock market? In a dollar sense, yes, right? Because they'd be printing more money and people could then pour more money into the stock market. That's, I think, has to do a lot with why the stock market was rising so much in January of this year, especially if you look at the smaller cap stocks, right? The smaller cap stocks that, retail might be more friendly towards. I think that definitely probably helped those out quite a bit. And, there's just more money. If they keep printing the money, the stocks tend to go up. So, and Mark doesn't want more of his own money. Kokomo Joe says no more stimulus. It's already killed the dollar. We just don't see it yet. And Vivi said, my mother never received her checks. Where the money went, I think you can send something to the IRS. You can go online and say you never got your check, and they should send it to you, though. That's definitely something you could remedy. I think that happened to my cousin. He had to call the IRS or something. I mean, it's a scary calling the IRS, but you can do it. So, of course, I want free money, but stimulus money is not free, says Rocky Mountain Gobblers. And Mark wants capitalism, not communism. Brazil AA, good morning, man. And so from the poll, we've got 27 votes so far regarding, do you want another round of stimulus checks? 37% say yes, 63% say no. So it looks like a lot of people don't want stimulus checks. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows what they'll do? Who knows what they'll do if the case counts actually get a lot worse, if they need to do some more lockdowns, if businesses start shutting down. I don't think they'll do more lockdowns, because let me go to the CDC hospitalization data. See if we can find that. Let's see if we can find hospitalization data. Okay, here we go. So look at this. This is actually interesting. This is tracking the number of deaths. And although we're seeing record high deaths, we're actually seeing, record high cases. We're seeing pretty low deaths. Compared to at least what we were seeing back in January. So relatively few compared to what we were seeing way back then in January of 2021. And even fewer than we were seeing during the more recent spike in cases. So all in all, it's looking like this new variant it's much less deadly than the previous ones. At least that's what you could glean from this data. So all in all, maybe they won't do more lockdowns. Who knows? Who knows? But that is interesting to see. Now, DWAC, the SPY, are both falling. It looks like we just got a decently sized red par on DWAC. We've got a couple of them coming in now. And SPY is also falling somewhat significantly, making lows of the trading day, making lows of the whole day, pre-market included. So that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate to see. Maybe reality's starting to set in. Maybe some of the cruise lines are selling off. Who knows? Probably not the cruise lines, but it's looking like overall a lot of stocks are red. And if we take a look at that S&P map, let's refresh it real quick. It looks like most of them are still green, larger market caps, but some like Amazon, Tesla, Facebook have taken a turn and turned a little bit red. Let's pull up Tesla real quick just to see. Oh yeah, Tesla's been on the downtrend, but to be fair, it was above 1100 at one point today, so it has rebounded significantly. I remember just a little bit ago it was below $900. It got below 900 for a very brief period of time. We were watching it live, I believe. It was down in the high 800s, so it has rebounded significantly. And in fact, if you were in Tesla over the past 10 days, you made a pretty hefty profit. If you bought in around $900, you could sell for $1,069. So all in all, Tesla's been good to people over the past 10 days, but maybe it's taken a turn right now. I know that yesterday Elon sold another billion, or maybe it was this morning that he sold another billion worth of Tesla. So, Elon is actually going to be the highest. He's going to pay more taxes this year than anyone in history. So, or at least anyone in American history. He's going to pay more taxes than any American ever has before. And we'll pull up Elon Musk's Twitter. It looks like he changed his profile picture. I don't know what this is. It looks like a rocket ship. Here, we'll pull it up. But here's his profile picture. There we go. And it looks like he was just on the Lex Friedman podcast for round 3. So maybe I'll have to listen to that too. Might have to listen to that. Let's see. I am here just joking. All right. So he hasn't tweeted. Oh, okay. And so December 25th, he tweeted Floki Santa. So let's see, actually, what the heck happened with Floki Inu when he tweeted that out. It may have had a good impact on Floki Inu. So, on December 25th. Oh, yeah. Floki Inu did see a little bit of a spike. In fact, let's pull it up right here. It looks like when Elon Musk tweeted that out, it was probably right here that tweet came out, when Floki Inu just instantly spiked up. Let's see, it didn't spike up all that much, and it quickly gave up the gains. Now it's lower, but we definitely saw a big increase in volume right after Elon tweeted that out. So, interesting stuff. So Elon's still having a massive impact on the crypto markets. That's cool to see. And mini Cybertruck for $1,800, says Silver. Maybe. Yeah, that would be cool. I would love a mini Cybertruck. I do need a truck. A truck is just so useful for moving, anything big and heavy. I have an old dryer that I need to get rid of, an old grill that's sitting out in my yard. So there's a bunch of stuff that I could definitely use a truck for. Now, let's see if those pending home sales have actually been updated yet, because they were supposed to come out at 10, and I don't know why they're being hidden from us, because it's 10:17. And it looks like maybe investing.com is just, it's taking its time to get the data. But the past couple of things that we've tried to look at, we tried to look at consumer sentiment yesterday, and that didn't come out when they said it was going to, but it said it's supposed to come out at 10. And it is December 29th, 2021, these are the November numbers. It's supposed to come out December 29th at 10, and that was 18 minutes ago, and we've yet to get the pending home sales numbers. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it, but let's pull back up Sundial real quick just to have it on the chart. It looks like everything is falling today, Sundial included. We're down to 58 cents on Sundial. It's a very red day. PROG is falling hard. Yeah, so a lot of stuff is falling. Even the markets are falling a little bit right now. Everything except the VIX is red, it looks like. Although NAKD notably is up 2% from yesterday's close. So all in all, not the worst day for NAKD, all things considered. And I will pull up on StockTwits, you guys can see, just in case no one's looked at it yet today. Of course, AMC is the most popular, actually coming in with a crazy amount of mentions, 39,000 mentions just about. It's 4 mentions on StockTwits away from 39,000 mentions. So I really don't know why we're not there yet, but that is absolutely dwarfing everything else. SPY, Asia Broadband, it's dwarfing Bitcoin and Tesla, and Naked brand stock. So NAKD being dwarfed by AMC. That's good to see. Maybe we'll see something happening in AMC. It looks like it is falling a little bit, so potentially that's why people are talking about it so much. And on Reddit, nothing too out of the ordinary. We've got SPY, the number 1 most mentioned, and then Tesla at number 2. So nothing new on Reddit and Wall Street Bets. That's just the same old usual stuff that people are talking about. So nothing crazy going on there. It looks like we're seeing a little bit of a rebound at the moment. DWAC starting to move back up along with SPY and AMC starting to recover a little bit. AMC is the one that I would like to see not recovering. I'd rather it move down below 25 just be able to grab some of those shares for cheap. But we'll see. We'll see if it continues this. It has to take a breather from the downtrend at some point. So we'll see what happens. It's down 2.4% on the day. But all in all, I would like a Cybertruck. I would like a Cybertruck. Let's see what that costs. How much does a Cybertruck cost? Obviously, I'd prefer to get a Model 3 before getting a Cybertruck. And look at this. It doesn't even have... it looks like you can't even look for the Cybertruck on Tesla's website. It says it has the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y. And, you know, in case no one's ever noticed how clever Elon Musk is, think about what S3XY spells, basically. If that's the order that he released these vehicles in. And pretty cool stuff. S3XY are the 4 cars that he's released so far in that order. So there you go. If anyone was doubting the cleverness of Elon Musk, there you go. But where can I find the Cybertruck? Shop, maybe. No. Where can I pre-order the Cybertruck? Wow. And Worlza says, "Hi, Rob. Got some great news. Top 5 crypto on popularity on Fox News yesterday. SafeMoon is above Shiba Inu." Wow. So let's see. Okay. So SafeMoon, Shiba Inu, and Dogecoin featured on Fox Business, most popular cryptos of 2021. Bitcoin, Dogecoin. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. So just in, Fox Business featured the most popular cryptocurrency of 2021, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, SafeMoon, SHIB, and Ripple. So that's cool stuff. Look at that. Yeah, it looks like if they're listed in popularity, going from left to right, then Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, SafeMoon, and Shiba Inu. I don't know why SafeMoon's up there. I feel like SafeMoon definitely wasn't as popular as Shiba Inu, at least from a market cap perspective, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. And Worlds still has my $50 in Shiba in SafeMoon. If I ever make, I don't even know what it is, a pancake swap account, I think. You know, maybe I'll make one day. I would like, honestly, to buy up some Shiba or some SafeMoon, because it seems like the kind of thing. The sooner the better. The sooner the better. The sooner the better for that. So. Because you do get a little bit of every transaction. So every time somebody sells, or I think it's, every time somebody sells their SafeMoon, you get, 5% of what they sell? It's split across all the people holding SafeMoon. Worlds says no. I think you're referring to no in terms of the SafeMoon market cap? Maybe not. But let's see what the market cap is on SafeMoon. Let's see. Over the past, you will pull up SafeMoon's market cap. So it looks like, okay, at one point it was much higher than it is. Currently its market cap is 800 million though. Fully diluted 1.3 billion, but Shiba Inu has like a 20-something billion market cap. Something crazy high. 20 billion right there for Shiba Inu. So it's a bit higher market cap-wise. Shiba Inu is, at least. Like, there's more money that's flowed into it. More people are holding Shiba Inu potential, or just holding higher quantities of it. I don't know what it is, but the market cap's SafeMoon. I'll pull up SafeMoon real quick just to see. I mean, potentially it had a higher market cap back here. Obviously, the market cap was a bit higher. I'm not sure how many multiples higher. Let's see. Maybe it was 5 times higher. Maybe. I mean, I doubt it was 20 times higher market cap up here, though. It doesn't look like a 20x increase. There's not really a tool where I could see, but Abstract says, I have no faith in SafeMoon. I don't know. SafeMoon seems like, you know, maybe it won't take off, but it seems like the kind of thing that could. It seems like the kind of thing that could, and it seems like the kind of thing that would make sense to hold for a long, long time, just because you're constantly accruing more, and that's what I like. I like the fact, oh, go to SafeMoon V2. I see. Is it what is it? There's a lot of SafeMoon. There's SafeMoon Inu. Let's pull it up on Google and we'll see if we can find SafeMoon V2. So SafeMoon V2, SafeMoon. Let's see. Okay, I think this might be it. SFM. I think this might be it. So SafeMoon maybe, SFM. And it looks like over the past year, it's been relatively stagnant. Or actually, it started on December 16th, so it hasn't had too much of a price fluctuation since then. But it has a $1.5 billion market cap. So there you go. That's significantly higher, I think, than what we saw with SafeMoon. $1.3 billion was the other SafeMoon. So cool. Cool. Still not as high as Shiba Inu's $20 billion market cap, but a cool one nonetheless. I have more faith, I think, in SafeMoon than in Shiba Inu at this point. In the sense that, if you were to hold one for 10 years, I think SafeMoon could outperform Shiba Inu just because you'd be accruing more SafeMoon coins. Obviously, I would really want to see it get listed on a major exchange. I think that's what would really balloon SafeMoon, and it is a very cool concept. It's a really cool concept that you end up getting a little bit of SafeMoon every time somebody sells some of theirs. It's super cool. I love that about SafeMoon. That's the main thing that I don't like about cryptos in general, is that all you can do is buy and hold them, right? You can't sell options on them. You don't get dividends from them. But SafeMoon is giving you more for holding. So I have to say that solves one of those issues, and it does seem to reward you for holding, which is what you want with cryptos. You want people to hold them for a very long time. So SafeMoon makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously, it could kind of be looked at like a Ponzi scheme almost. The sooner you get in, the better, and then everybody pays you a little bit when they sell. So maybe it's a little bit like, it's not really a Ponzi scheme, but some people definitely view it as somewhat of a scam. I don't. I think that there is some potential to it, right? A lot of these, there's nothing more scammy about SafeMoon, it seems, other than the fact that it's not on a major exchange than other cryptos, right, that don't offer you coins in exchange for people selling. So I have to say, I like Shiba Inu. I like SafeMoon. I like Shiba Inu too. I have some Shiba Inu. And Worlds says you don't need PancakeSwap or Trust Wallet. Download the SafeMoon wallet. That's all. Okay, is it an easy download? Is it like an app or something? Because I'd be willing to do that. Let me see. SafeMoon wallet. Let's see. So, cookie notice. All right. I guess we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to accept their cookies. So here's the SafeMoon homepage. SafeMoon Exchange is coming soon. Okay. That's cool. And consolidate to V2 SafeMoon. Buy V2 swap live chat. Nice. So, is there a SafeMoon wallet on the App Store? So maybe I'll get that. Take your 50 live. Next live stream, if I've gotten the wallet, we'll do it. We'll do it. That'll be the first SafeMoon acquisition. Can I buy SafeMoon on the wallet? Can I buy it there? Because that would be convenient. If there's an app where I can buy and hold, that would be nice. That would be nice to do. And does it cost anything? Is there a price to be paid? Hopefully not, but if there is, then so be it. I'd be willing to pay a little bit. I paid just recently. I made a video about some penny stocks. MJNA was one of them, and I did end up buying 100,000 shares of MJNA. Obviously, the stock only costs 1.8 cents, so it was very cheap. But it ended up costing like $1,800, and the reason is it has dipped below a historical support of 2 cents. And if you look at the max chart of this thing, it goes back all the way to 2009. You can see pretty much every time it bounces up around 2 cents, it ends up bouncing up significantly. And it's in the bottom left right here, MJNA, and we just saw it dip below. So I ended up buying it 0.18 something cents, I think, and it's still there. So I've got about 100,000 shares of it, but it did cost a little bit of a commission because it's an over-the-counter stock. You can't buy this on Robinhood, can't buy it on Webull. You need something like TD Ameritrade or Fidelity to get this one. So that's a recent move that I've made. Because the last time, it's a cannabis stock, right? It's marijuanainc.com and medicalmarijuanainc.com. And the last time that we were really getting hyped up on cannabis legalization and meme stocks, this thing pumped all the way up to 22 cents. So that would be about a 10x from where we are now, maybe a 12x. And it could go higher. It could go even higher than that, right? If we end up actually seeing legalization, then we could go even higher. Because that was just on potential legalization, right? And that was also a meme stock rally a bit, but it's got a pretty low market cap. Let me pull up real quick. MJNA's market cap. We'll pull up. We'll see what it's sitting at. It looks like it's $63 million right there. $63 million market cap. All in all, this is looking like a potentially promising place. That's something I got into recently. So thank you. I think it was James Wood who pointed out this stock to me. And then I looked into it a little bit more and ended up buying some yesterday. So got it pretty cheap. It's down a little bit today, but not by much. But it is 10:30, so we should have the what was it? Oil prices coming out. U.S. crude oil inventories. So here we go. Let's refresh this page, see if the numbers have come out. Looks like they haven't quite come out yet. Neither have the pending home sales. Oh no, okay. Here come the pending home sales. So we were expecting to see an increase of 0.5% of pending home sales. Finally, they got around to releasing this information. We were expecting a 0.5% increase, and the reason this matters is this is how many homes are under contract to be sold, but are still awaiting the closing transaction. So it's basically, the higher this number is, the higher this percentage is, the more expensive homes will be because the more homes there are that are being sold, and liquidity tends to add an increase to price. If people are constantly buying houses, then houses tend to cost a little bit more. So we actually got what we wanted, and that's a decrease, a lower percentage, a negative number. We saw minus 2.2% pending home sales instead of an increase, which is good because I would rather that pending home sales go down and that we have fewer homes being sold because that means home sales or home prices will be down a little bit. And I would like to buy a house at some point in 2022. That would be nice. So I would not mind house prices going down a little bit. So I'm happy to see that. Now, the other thing that we had to look at was crude oil inventories, which should be coming out any minute if investing.com can get their stuff together, because it's 10:31 and we were promised these numbers at 10:30, but they're holding them back a little bit. They don't want to show us. They were forecast to decrease oil inventories by about 3.2 million barrels, and we really would rather an increase in oil inventories, because as oil inventories go down, it means there's more demand for oil. It means that prices are probably going up for gas, which we don't want. I would much rather see prices for gas go down because I consume gas, and I would rather pay less at the pump. And Abstract's heading out, and we'll probably be heading out soon. Abstract, if this thing doesn't come in the next minute or two, then we're probably gone. So we'll see you, man. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. That'll be the last stream because Friday is a day off. It's a day off for New Year's. So that was our stream for today. It looks like they're keeping the crude oil inventories away from us, but that was the stream. Potentially in tomorrow's stream, we'll be getting $50 a SafeMoon. So other than that, guys, that's what we've got for the day. It was an okay day. The markets were pretty stagnant. Not too much happened. Sundial fell a little bit. So did pretty much everything, right? If you're looking at the watch list that we've got on the left of the screen, which you can't see anymore now, it's just me, then pretty much everything is down. The only things that are green are NAKD and SBEA. So other than that, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Have a good one. Bye, guys.